Excuse me, I better take this. I was gonna phone you, God, I wish I was at home right now. Look, just tell the girls that there's nothing to worry about.
Oh, I'll tell them that, Johnny boy. I'll tell them that their father tried to have me killed. How about that?
That's my wife's phone. How did you get my wife's phone?
This is 1965, isn't it? All of this because of 1965. Frobisher, tell me, is it them? Have they come back?
Yes.
That's why you tried to have me killed. Along with Andrew Staines and Ellen Hunt and Michael Sanders. All of us dead, so no one could say anything. Is that it?
I have no choice.
Well, I've got a choice. Do you want to hear my choice? I could blow this thing sky high. I could tell the world. Unless you get me into Thames House. I demand to talk to the 456 myself. Think about it. The fact that they've come back proves that they can't be trusted. You need me.
Captain, we have your daughter and grandson. Alice and Stephen Carter, they're in our custody.
You what?
I promise nothing will happen to them. I absolutely promise. So long as you agree to say nothing.
Yeah, well, how about I go back into that house right now and get your wife? And your children.
Except you won't. Because you're a better man than me. I'm sorry, Jack.
Hello and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast with me, Matthew, and as always, I am joined with...
Hello, it's Scott, and that's a very unique intro speaking voice today, Matthew.
Nope, that's just how I sound all the time.
Okay.
Today we are continuing our look through the Children of Earth, Torchwood's third series, probably the best Torchwood ever got. Some of the best in the Doctor Who universe, TV series wise. It's very solid so far. I'm very much enjoying it.
Yeah, is this your thoughts or is this you reading other people's thoughts?
Just my thoughts. I have seen no other thoughts on this. My feed. I have had no Torchwood on my feeds.
So your
Absolutely
opinion,
none.
your opinion is in line with most other people's opinions. This is considered one of the best Doctor Who stories.
Always is.
So
I'm an everyman. I'm an average Joe. What can I say? I'm just like you at home listening to this. But yeah, no, I am thoroughly enjoying it so far. I have little nitpicks here or there, or some bits that I'm enjoying more than others, but overall it's sitting at like an 8 roughly after these 3 episodes. It's about an 8. We'll see if that goes up or down. But,
when we have to comment on every single scene, of course, we're going to start picking apart little nitpicks. Whereas if we're watching it in an hour chunk, just on just by ourselves, there's less nitpicks to be had.
brain off, going, this is fun.
Yes.
But yes, we are looking at day 3 today. For the past 2 weeks, we have covered day 1 and day 2, so you can go back and listen to those episodes if you have not, or if you're just jumping in with day 3. Fucking what a weird choice! Congratulations. Have you got anything to say? What are your thoughts before we jump into day 3?
Before we jump in,
vibing?
This was originally just supposed to be written by James Moran, but it has a written by credit from Russell T Davies himself. So Russell T Davies had to rewrite quite a lot of this episode, and which became a huge nightmare to him because he only came in to do 1 episode, and instead he had to rewrite this episode and also write episode 5 instead. So he wrote 3 episodes in total. As if you want to hear Russell T Davies and all of his panicking, you can listen to episode 1, or you can just wait a few more weeks for episode 5 because I have more panicked notes from Russell T Davies for episode 5. He's a panicky man around this time.
A lot of stress running a show. I'm sure. But yeah, other than that, let's just jump straight into day 3.
Well, perhaps we do things differently here, but we would consider this to be a diplomatic liaison. Does that make sense? We are both, in a sense, ambassadors. And according to protocol, ambassadorial procedure is not made public. You wouldn't be speaking to the entire population, but to their elected representatives. That's how it works. That's all I can offer. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Bring them.
Thank you.
So, day 3 begins after a very nice little recap to catch us up with where we are with the reveal of the new Torchwood HQ. And it's a warehouse. Boy, that's lucky for the budget, isn't it? It's just a big, long warehouse.
I'm pretty sure they originally had a different location planned, but that location had asbestos. So at the very last minute, they had to choose this location, which I think makes sense. Of course, it would be a warehouse. It feels like it makes sense for them to be in a warehouse. It's a place you'd imagine them going, so it's not a big deal at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a lot of empty space. It's a very long, like, warehouse that they're in, and they kind of just sit in this one area with it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what are you gonna do? This opening scene, we're cutting around quite a bit, introducing all the characters. It's paced really well. But as they're coming into the warehouse, we're also intercutting that with like news reports talking about basically establishing the mood of where everything's at, which is on the edge. No one's really sure what's happening. Everyone's really uneasy, and all the news is trying to be reassuring. It's being, everything is fine. You know, we don't know what the aliens mean by tomorrow. The kids aren't in danger. Everything's totally okay. And that's capped off with a address from the Prime Minister himself being like, yo, everything's fine. What's up? It's chill. I'm the Prime Minister. And that's how he talks. And it's pretty fun. There's some gnarly, you kept bringing it up when we were watching this episode back a few moments ago of you kept making COVID jokes throughout, and there is some definite COVID memories here, as with the going out panic shopping for essentials, the Prime Minister addressing the nation being like, hey, to stay at home, there's a curfew in place. Like, there's a lot of COVID things going on in this this episode.
The reason why I'm so focused on COVID when watching this series back is because the last time I watched it was around Christmas 2020, you know, roughly around the time where all the Tories were having their big Christmas party, famously. Yeah. And of course, it's impossible to watch a series like this and not think of COVID when you're living through COVID. It's like, of course, this series is more focused on how the world would react to a crisis like this. It's not really obviously it is a sci-fi series, but it's more focused on the realism aspect of how would the governments react, how would people react, that sort of thing. And the government reaction to what's going on with the aliens, you know, their delayed reaction trying to cover stuff up is what we saw during COVID. So it's impossible to remove the two elements. And I feel like every generation has gone through a big crisis like this and watched the government do absolutely nothing. Like Russell T Davies probably saw the same thing with the AIDS epidemic. You know, it's a constant thing that keeps happening with every government, basically. Great times.
Government bad? Government bad? Is that what you're saying? Is that the shocking revelations we're coming to on this podcast?
Perhaps.
Color me stuff. I just don't think there's enough evidence to back that claim up.
But yeah, the whole news reporter angle is, of course, a trope that Russell T Davies used quite often in his first, between 2005 and 2010, or whenever he stopped writing. So I think it really works because, you know, when you have the world reacting to alien threats, of course, it makes more sense to just do news reports. That's a cheap way of showing how the
Easy
world is
exposition.
reacting to this. Yeah.
Easy exposition, yeah.
Because you don't want characters sitting around being like, oh, the government is doing this and people are reacting this way. It's like, yeah, just do quick, brief flashes of news reports. It's simple. Really simple stuff.
It is, and it's done pretty well. We also, during this, we see Peter Capaldi briefly watching the news with his. Is he with his family at the time, or is he just?
I think he's at his office. His family are somewhere else separately.
Yeah. But either way, Yanto gets on the phone to somebody to let his sister know that he's safe by giving a thumbs up. They give the thumbs up to the sister's husband instead, and he delivers the message like, yo, Yanto's safe. Also, we're a day service now, which, like, he's a day service looking after the kids because they're not allowed to go out to school and everything. All the schools are shut. And he's like, 10 quid a kid. That is so cheap. He could be getting so much more money. Kids are a nightmare. You're looking after them all day for £10?
Yeah.
Fucking dude sucks at business. He could be getting literally probably 10 times the amount. Like,
but yeah, this is again one of those things of, you know, it shows how people react. You know, the kind of community feeling of, oh, these kids can't go to school or anything, so of course we're going to exploit this, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna. How can I make money off this right now? Yeah. We also see Captain Jack's daughter, of course, who's all grown up, trying to get in contact with Captain Jack, but not being able to do so because he exploded. Kind of hard to get in contact with people when they explode. And Torchwood have to come up with a way to get money because they've only got like some tools and some hope to get them through. They really don't have that much equipment. And we get a fun montage of them just robbing people.
Yeah.
Just straight up robbing people. For the greater good, I suppose. Yeah. But just robbing people.
So, They do the old credit card scam, which was really big around this time. You know, the whole people pretending to be waiters, walking up to customers at restaurants, and then being like, "Oh, your payment, I'll take your card, and you can pay for your meal, whatever." And then they run away with the credit card. I'm sorry.
Wouldn't they be fucked if you just went, "Can I see the bill?"
I don't know how exactly it worked, but anyway, we've recently talked about this in our End of Time review, because originally the Master was supposed to be doing this in the opening of the End of Time. He was supposed to be doing the credit card scams, but Russell T Davies was like, "Hey, wait a minute. Wouldn't people recognize if a former prime minister went up to them and scammed them out a lot of money?" So instead, he kind of reused it for this.
Because he already did that when he was prime minister, bro. And bloody taxes, am I right? Boy.
and I think we did the End of Time in December 2022, and I remember distinctively I remember making a joke at the time of, people would definitely not recognize if Liz Truss came up to you and did the credit card scam. And wouldn't you believe it, like 3 weeks ago, ITV did their horse racing live broadcast, and one of our sportsmen went up to...
Iconic. This moment was
one of our
iconic.
Sportsmen went up to fucking... I don't know who the guy is, but there was a guy with... Liz Truss.
It was her husband.
Her husband, okay. He went up to Liz Truss's husband and asked him some questions about the horse race. And the entire time, Liz Truss is just standing there acting like, are you not going to ask me any questions? I was the Prime Minister. What's going on? And then when they cut to the studio, the commentator is like, wasn't that Liz Truss? The guy did not recognize Liz Truss. That is amazing.
Or he recognized her and decided, I'm good. No thanks.
But yeah, my prediction of people not recognizing Liz Truss came true. So I guess I'm the new Simpsons.
Wow, you are the new Simpsons.
But yeah, in this montage, we also see that Captain Jack steals a car, which was actually John Barrowman's real life car. They just swapped out the license plate, which I guess saved him a lot of money.
Yeah. You were correct, by the way. End of time, December 2022. We covered that on the podcast.
Insane.
If you want to listen to that episode, it's called The End of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Who watches Who episodes 81 and 82, because obviously it's a two-parter. But yeah, long time ago now. This is like episode 100 and something. 176. I actually do not know.
I don't know either. But to cut back
158.
158. To cut back a little bit, Captain Jack's grandson is watching the CBBC show Trapped, which might sound weird to mention, but I grew up on this show. It's very good. It's a game show where kids basically compete. One of them, there's like 6 kids, and they're in a castle, and they go through different games. But one person is an imposter the entire time. At the end of the round, people vote who they think the imposter is, and all that. It's basically Among Us, and the person who gets the most votes gets trapped in this castle. But I came to the conclusion last night. I came to a very interesting thought. The plot of Trapped is that these kids are being kidnapped by a woman who is only referred to as the Voice. What is the plot of this Torchwood series? Children technically being kidnapped by the Voice.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
So I'm guessing somebody in the writer's room was like, hey, my kid's really into this show. It makes sense for his kid to be watching the show because it's thematically similar. Because it's the only CBBC show that's thematically similar to Torchwood Children of Earth, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, there is a kind of irony to this kid being absolutely bored of watching this show about a voice kidnapping children when that's what's going to happen to every kid, well, 10% of the kids in the country.
Yeah, also, why is the kid bored? Apparently banger show. You know,
that was a great show, man.
I have zero memories of it. I don't think I ever watched it. But, yeah. We get... there was a brief scene, like a brief moment as well, of Gwen and her husband, known formally as the artist Reese.
Yes.
Getting upset at Captain Jack finding out that Gwen was pregnant before he was, which I'm glad they don't linger on it too long, because it's the most annoying trope of all time. Yeah. Such a overdone trope. I'm sick of stories like that. Because
we just covered Doctor Who: The Impossible Astronaut, where they kind of linger on the same plot point for way too long. I feel like at the end of that two-parter, it's a bit too much of, oh, you told the Doctor before me. I mean, I'm less important than the Doctor.
You don't love me as much. Even though you're pregnant with my kid.
But here, there's only anger for like 1 minute, and then it's dropped, which I'm completely fine with, and it makes sense for him to be kind of upset in this situation. Of course, you'd kind of be upset.
You got a lot of other things going on. You're tired, you've been traveling, you're on the run for the law. You know, this is just more bad news. But
there is a deleted scene in the script where Gwen would have joked that they would name the baby Jack, which is kind of funny. But obviously Gwen's a bit upset with Captain Jack for bringing up the fact that he knew about the pregnancy, and I'm like, to be fair, his brain just regrew like 24 hours ago. His brains were all over the place when he blew up. like his brain is probably still forming, you know? Give him some slack.
Yeah, he's doing his best. Speaking of doing your best, someone that isn't doing that is Captain Jack's daughter, who goes outside to be like, oh, well, if my phone can't contact Captain Jack, someone else's phone will be able to, right? It's just my phone. That's how telephones work. It's just my phone that's the problem. So she goes out. There's a stranger walking by on her phone because everyone's on their phone these days, isn't it? Oh, bloody hell. And she asks if she could borrow the phone. The lady's like, sure, I guess. She takes the phone. She phones up and she gets hit with a robot, sorry. That's basically just like, oh, we can't help you right now. You know, what do you want?
Name and address.
Name and address.
Same, yeah. We have the same message twice in the same tone that should indicate, hey, there's something fishy going on here. I'm not speaking to a real person.
And she spends, like, she's like, this is a really good time to just, like, exposition a little bit and just be like, oh, yeah, all that stuff that you were saying and blah, all these things that you were here. And anyway, goodbye. It's like, name and address. And she closes the phone like, that was a really good phone call. I'm glad I did that.
It does feel like it's slightly goofy, especially since she's like... she's technically in like witness protection. She'd probably be briefed by Captain Jack. Hey, if I'm ever in danger, don't make phone calls, you know, because they could track you. These kind of things happen.
That reminds me of a tweet that came up on my feed today about witness protection. And it was the tweet was like, the conspiracy that I 100% believe is that witness protection isn't a thing and the government just straight up kills you. And so when people are like it saves money, it saves resources, it's so much easier. If anyone's like, hey, what happened to that person? They're in witness protection now to know where they went. Yeah, it's the ultimate cover. Anyway, we get a scene of Captain Jack's daughter being tracked and found out about, like, oh, her parents' names aren't her real parents because obviously Captain Jack is her parent, and he was under an alias at the time. There are fake names given. They get delivered toilet roll. Very important, and another COVID flashback. The importance of toilet roll is, I think, something that oft isn't spoken about. It is murmured in hushed whispers. The fact that society ceases to function when there is no rolls to go around.
Yeah,
and it is just insane how fragile we are. And
as a retail worker in COVID, the amount of toilet paper I personally sold is insane. Just every customer just coming over with toilet paper. It made no sense to me.
What if, like, whenever someone buys toilet paper from you, if you just went for your bum? just every time. I feel like, you know, it's
that would certainly be a weird thing to do, but sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's just for you. Oh, okay. Right. Oh, I get it. Buying toilet paper, are we?
But what's more important than toilet paper in Torchwood is, of course, we get Captain Jack's iconic outfit back, which is a big joyous moment in this, which I fucking love this scene, to be honest. It's just, it feels like we're back. It feels earned after what we went through with in the last episode. You know, it feels earned.
It is insane that, like, 24 hours ago in canon and in real life when this aired, Captain Jack was a skeleton man screaming, you know, and now he's got his big jacket back and he's like, hell yeah, let's go. Like, the damage that must do to your psyche, insane.
Again, his brain is still probably reforming. I don't know how long it would take.
It is.
Because he fucking died like 15 times in the last 15 hours, and he
so
exploded.
Many times, yeah. But yeah, no, it's a fun little scene, and what I did like about this episode is it opens up much more lighthearted. You know, like the montage of them stealing money is kind of fun. This like montage of Captain Jack's got his jacket back. Fuck yeah, you know, we're in this big, like, everything is not as dire as it was in the last episode, and we need that break because, like, halfway through at the turning point in this episode, things get way worse.
Which is something I was going to bring up later, but now you've pointed it out. Halfway through this series, we're introduced to the main threat of a series, which is insane storytelling. Because most of our TV shows would be like, hey, near the end of episode 1, there's no way we can't have the alien threat appear in episode 3. That's insane. Like, just the restraint not to have an alien in episode 1 is impressive.
Yeah, I agree completely, but I disagree on one little aspect.
Yes.
And this is just a personal theory of mine, is I don't think the aliens are the greatest threat in this series. I think Peter Capaldi is the greatest threat in this series, and we're introduced to him very early on in the first scenes of episode 1. But I don't trust that limey fuck at all.
Interesting.
But we will see as the series goes on. But I am enjoying the Capaldi stuff a lot, which we will get into as we approach it. But our next scene is instead with Clem.
Yes, well done.
the man who was a child that ran away from the aliens, and they are still in his head, and now he is like escaped the insane asylum that they had thrown him in. He pickpockets a lady and is then a big dumb idiot about it and starts taking the cash out at the bar instead of taking the cash out before you go in. Classic mistake, because the lady sees the picture in the wallet, in the purse, that she knows, like, fucking, that isn't you, that isn't your wallet, you stole that, you're rambling to yourself like a nutcase. I'm calling the police. Causes a big scene, you know.
Yeah, he's having a big PTSD flashback in this scene as more and more memories keep popping up in his head, which I'm fine with this scene doing all the flashbacks, because we start to get new information about what happened to him as a kid. You know, we see a bit more. We see a hand, somebody's hand that we find out is Captain Jack's hand. Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, this just reminds me of having to call the police on mentally unwell people that come into my store. It's not a great day when that happens, because you kind of feel guilty, because putting a mentally unwell person inside a jail cell is kind of concerning.
No, it's the best. It's the best solution to any problem. Just lock them up. Lock them up.
Definitely wouldn't make them more distressed, you know.
No, really dehumanize them, make them feel like they're not a person, they don't have any free will. That's put them in cages.
It's always the worst when that happens, because you hope for the best, but you just never know. It's worrying. But I've never seen
crazy.
I've never seen people handle the mentally unwell in the same way they do in this episode of Torchwood.
Oh, they throw him onto the table.
Chuck him onto the table, which is like he's not harming anyone. He's just basically sitting there trying to pay for a meal. Poor guy.
But you know, it's okay. Let's not think about abuses of power or the correct way of looking after our mentally unwell, because there's a big butt and some big boobs on the screen in the next scene as we cut to them, Captain Jack using a laptop, I presume one that they stole from somebody.
Yep.
And the boobs don't last for very long, but it was definitely this is Torchwood, isn't it? We're in Torchwood again, aren't we?
I mean, it's not just Torchwood, but it does feel like every 20, 30-year-old man's laptop in this era. Like, the amount of almost naked women on laptop screensavers I've seen in my life is insane. We had somebody at college who had anime girls in bikinis on his wallpaper, and he always liked to leave his laptop on his wallpaper, so it was hard not to notice that.
I just cannot fathom the idea of having that as your wallpaper. Like not even from like a personal self-respect viewpoint. Like, you know, like do you need to be horny all the time? Do you need constant but like just from how are other people gonna perceive me as a person? If they come in and they use my computer and the first thing they see is soft porn, you know, or if I'm out in public and I leave my computer somewhere and just everyone gets to look at some half-naked women that I like to have on my screen. What do you mean women are put off by me and they don't want to work with me? And I was confused.
And you put the point on the nail. Is that a saying? I don't even know, but
hit the nail on the head.
We put the nail on the head. Yes. But yes, this guy from college was a bit of a creeper, so it makes sense. I guess he was, definitely a creeper. Good times.
What a time. But they're talking about various computer stuff and downloading the internet from the telephone or whatever. Meanwhile, because they need to get in contact with the intern, not the intern, it's her first day of the job, third day on the job of being employed. Family Guy Lois.
Yes.
Yes, they need to get in contact with Lois, who's at her favorite spot, which is just coffee shops. This lady just exists in the public service restaurant area. Like, she's always, if it's a cafe, a coffee shop, she's there. She's in it. That is where she resides.
I guess it makes sense because she would have to get coffee quite a bit. Famously, you know, from what I've seen in movies and television shows. Oh, can we get some coffee, please?
I mean, as a person that exists in the world, coffee is a large part of my day. It's a large part. If I'm going out somewhere, I'm gonna get a coffee. If I'm doing something, I'm gonna get a coffee. When I wake up in the morning, I get a coffie.
I don't drink coffee. Maybe I should start drinking coffee. Maybe I need to see what the
Coffee's
fuss is
good.
all about.
It's real nice. It's real yummy. But the coffee shop gets a phone call, and he calls out he's like, "Hey, Lois."
Yes, we're suddenly in New York, not Cardiff for some reason.
Yeah. Well, it's just that guy.
Sorry, London.
London's a diverse place. There's accents. You know, like, what does a Londoner sound like? I'm walking here. That's a London accent. That's someone from London.
Fair enough. But also, this shop is playing Coldplay, which is the worst shop ever. I think it's Coldplay at least. It's a really bad song that sometimes plays in my store as well, and I just hate it. So,
see, when I'm at work, and sometimes I'm in charge of putting the music on. And it's a nightmare because I don't have a lot of music that is appropriate for a work setting. So I spend a lot of time searching for like a work safe mix that Spotify's made for me.
I mean, you can just turn on the explicit. I don't know what it's called, but you can turn off the explicit music and just play your playlist.
It's not so much about swear words. It's more about the
tone, I guess, is what you're trying to say.
The tone, the messaging, I listen to a lot of punk music, and I listen to a lot of acoustic punk music. So it's a lot of just people shouting.
Nah, just play System of a Down or whatever. It's perfect.
Sometimes we do. Sometimes System of a Down comes on. Like it's fine. But the guy is like, "Hey, Lois, this isn't a call center. Fucking don't use our phone for too long." Wait, like if I'm that guy, why do I give a shit? Why, like, I work in a coffee shop. Someone has to use the phone. It's probably an emergency.
Maybe he's the boss. Maybe he pays for the phone bills.
If I'm the boss,
Actually,
why
no,
do I
wait,
give
no,
a
wait.
shit?
If you're receiving a phone call, you don't pay. Never mind.
Yeah. Why do I give it? If I'm the boss, why do I give a shit? Oh, someone's gonna spend more time in my coffee place. They're gonna buy more because they feel bad. Oh no. But Gwen is like, hey, by the way, like, I'm outside, don't hang up, I need to have a chat with you. This goes on to them chatting where Gwen is like, hey, do you mind breaking more laws? And Lois is like, I kind of do. I kind of do mind. And Gwen's like, yeah, but what if we made it like Mission Impossible shit where like I'm wearing contact lenses that are cameras, by the way, and you can be wearing them. And Lois is like, awesome, cool, you have a pair for me as well? And Gwen's like, no. These ones that the ones that I'm wearing, they're gonna be yours. Like, gross, crazy gross.
Maybe it's self-cleaning, because I guess this is high-tech technology. It's the same word twice, you dumbass. It's like DC Comics.
So
did you ever realize that DC Comics is the same word twice? Yes, sorry.
Detective Comics, DC Comics, yeah. I just did a quick Google. Can you share contact lenses?
Yeah.
This is what it has to say. Myth. It is okay to share contact lenses with friends and family. Truth. Sharing contact lenses is highly inadvisable because it could cause severe infections due to cross-contamination.
Yeah, but
Gwen is trying to blind Lois.
But this is technology. It's probably self-cleaning. It gets rid of all the germs. You just push a button.
If anything, it's more dangerous. There's like camera, like not even thinking about bacteria. What about the radiation? That's like cancer to the eyeballs straight away.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm sure she's dead in the next season anyway. She doesn't come back after this, so she dies after this week.
I do like the shot of the contact lens, the like first person camera angle there that we see on the computer. There's some nice, like, the camera's like cutting around the cafe. And if you look at the laptop, you're still seeing the correct perspective for where Gwen is looking. It's a really nice little detail that I'm sure was a fucking hassle to actually do.
That's not something I actually thought about. It's a little. How do we do that? I guess there's a.
Just plan what you're gonna shoot, and then.
Yeah, I guess it would have been a hassle. That's not something I thought about.
Yeah, no, that's something that I know if I was...
Unless they made the technology themselves, and this is actually real.
Wow, they have these contact lenses. That's probably... That's crazy. But yeah, no, like, I just thought of that because I was like, if I was... I've made... films and stuff before, and I've made stuff where I've had to have characters watching a screen and something playing on that screen, and then we're cutting to a different shot and the TV's still on in the background, but we forgot to have it on, and we forgot to have the scene playing, and then it's like, fuck no, now I've got to try and do some sort of dumb effect to make the thing, or crop it here, or it becomes such a little nuisance because you forgot one little background detail that becomes so important. So little nuggets. Filmmaking's a nightmare.
Continuity is fucking impossible. Like, the first film I was part of in college, it was a simple film about people eating pizza in one scene, and then we realized, oh shit, if they eat the pizza is gonna either grow slices or remove slices between every shot.
That's why they don't eat things on TV. They just push it around their plate.
But none of us realized that, so it was a learning lesson.
Yeah, it is. So we get a very good scene next with Yanto and Captain Jack, where Yanto proposes the terrifying question of, did you feel the pain of exploding from your insides out when you exploded? Because remember, the bomb was in his stomach. It's not like he got hit by a missile. Like, he was the bomb. And Captain Jack says, yeah, I felt that. I felt myself explode. And it's just an immediate, oh, fuck, out. Just existential fear that your ancestors could not comprehend. because you know the risk of exploding has only increased over history.
Oh yeah, fuck's sake, yeah. You're really reminded of the curse of immortality in this series, series 3 with Captain Jack, because you're constantly reminded, all his loved ones grow old before his eyes, and he can't fucking die with them. He has to watch everyone die. And also just the fact that he dies all the time as well, and he goes through the pain of fucking dying.
It's one thing being able to live forever and being able to resurrect, but being able still being able to feel pain. Nightmare. We discussed this last week when we briefly touched on Miracle Day, when you were talking about the guy that I don't remember what happened to him, but
he gets burned alive, except he doesn't fucking die, so he's just lying there as a corpse, essentially, still conscious.
Awful, just awful. But turns on Yanto, actually makes him horny. As he's then like, hey, Captain Jack, why don't we just we could fuck. And Jack's kind of on board with it, but they need to get rid of Reese first, because he's in the background cooking beans. And they're like, hey, can you go to the shops for like half an hour or something? And he's like, I'm cooking beans. The beans are almost done. So they're not allowed to have any sex, and no sex happens.
Yeah, which
episode,
is
as far as Reese out here being a cockblock,
No sex happens in this series, which is mental for Torchwood. Because, Torchwood fucking loves sex, Remember Adrift, which was another episode about Captain Jack keeping secrets about children who vanish. Remember Adrift? We covered that a while ago. And Yanto and Jack just fuck naked in the office.
Yeah. God, how times change. We also get a fun bit of foreshadowing at the end of the scene, which is really the real purpose of the scene. The other stuff is some fun character stuff and some lighthearted bants.
I mean, lighthearted bants. Right after talking about, I feel every time I die. I felt exploding.
I felt exploding, and then it's like, you're gonna feel me explode in you.
I'm surprised they didn't do that.
But they scan the faces of Clem and stuff, and on the mention of all the names, Jack is like, I recognize that. Hang on, pull up the people, because there were other people that got killed when Jack got killed as well. He's like, pull up those people's names and show me their faces from 40 years ago. And turns out they're all soldier people. They're all military people or whatever. And I didn't catch on to what this was about when I was first watching this. I was like, okay, cool. What's the information I'm gaining here? I'm not really sure what's going on. But it leads into the big twist end at the reveal. If you know the twist going in, this scene is very obvious. But experiencing it both blind and knowing the twist now, it's done really well, I think, because I never guessed this coming. But also, I'm dumb. So.
Maybe 1% of the audience would catch on to the fact that, hey, maybe Captain Jack was involved in the 60s abduction, watching this scene. 1% of the audience, I imagine. We keep hinting towards Jack's involvement as the episode goes on. So I think more and more people catch on. It's like what we were talking about with episode 1, with the conversation of between Alice and Jack, and his gradual reveal that they are related. It's just really clever writing. So if you're the 1% who understands it, I think it works, because the cliffhanger still works if you see it happening, because the reveal is the reveal wouldn't work, but also everybody's reaction to Captain Jack admitting that he was involved in the 60s. But it's an emotional reveal at the same time. So there's two things going on in that scene at the end. So it really works. It's really clever writing.
Yeah, it is. It's very good, and it is. We'll talk more about the twist when it actually happens. But it is a darn good scene. That scene. Next up, we find out more about Peter Capaldi's character inadvertently when Lois lies to get into the room with the aliens later on, where she's like, hey, yeah, he said that I could come, and it was a private conversation, if you catch what I'm saying. And this upsets her boss lady, who tries to chase after Capaldi, but he doesn't slow down. And then she's like, you're not the first, by the way. Don't think that you're the first. So Peter Capaldi cheating his wife? Is that?
Yeah, that's the implication. Yeah. He probably had an affair with, I think her name is Bridget Spears. And it's a very scummy thing to do. It's I guess it's why she's his personal assistant. Bridget Spears is, because I guess she was promised, hey, if you stick by me and we flirt a little and maybe do other things, maybe
you won't move up. We're in dead end jobs. We're not going anywhere. What are we gonna do?
Welcome to misogyny in politics. Well, in every workplace, I guess. It's not good. Hot take.
We then get a scene. We get a scene with Gwen as well, like interlaced, where she gets reminded that she used to be a police officer. Yes. She can use her connections in the police force to leverage situations to benefit her and to gain. It's crazy. That is absolutely insane. Being able to watch a character use something from their past, like a really important job, to their benefit to help them succeed with it's insane. Crazy. And
this is kind of the stuff I was waiting for the entirety of the Chibnall era in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yaz sitting down with somebody and trying to get information out of them, or, stuff like that.
Using any policing techniques that she knew, using connections in the police force to get access to resources that could help them solve a case or still stop an alien, or
Because working with the Doctor every week, you're basically solving a mystery, and that involves questions. I guess Spyfall Part 1, they do go into Vor, which is like the Facebook company. Remember Vor? They go into Vor and they question Lenny Henry a little bit. I think that's the only time where she actually questioned people, but that's one episode.
I forgot about Vor. Of all the words you could choose, what are the chances that you choose one that is also an extremely specific fetish?
I mean, I think maybe Chibnall knew. Maybe he has the fetish, and he's just like,
maybe,
hey.
maybe it's like it's like a dog whistle for other people that like Vor,
and he's like, hey, people want to know more about me. They're always asking questions like, what was the point of that scene? They want to know about me specifically.
It's all Vor based.
I'm going to reveal my fetishes to people.
This is I'll let you in on the secret world of writing. That's every writer's ambition, is to subtly reveal their fetishes throughout their writing. You see it everywhere. But Gwen uses her police buddy. He's back. No chance I'm getting his name. None. Andy. And she uses that to get in to find Clem in the cell that he's been in, and she gives him a big ol' hug, and it's a very touching little scene.
It is, yes.
Again, guy's having a tough time.
Yeah, he fucking really is. But again, just the fact that Gwen actually cares about Clem and his well-being is really sweet. It's like any other show would kind of use him as a leverage to get more information, but here Gwen seems to actually care about them, which is fucking lovely. It's really fucking lovely.
Yeah. We then get to some of the stuff in the episode I'm not too hot about. Not that it's inherently bad or that there's anything negative about it. not really invested so much in what's going on with this character yet, which is
Well.
Captain Jack's. Ooh.
I have a promise that at the end you will be very invested in what's going on with Captain Jack's family.
Okay.
I have a
Okay.
huge promise you'll love what happens.
Okay. But Captain Jack's daughter steps outside and she's like, my spider sense. There's cops everywhere. So she grabs her son and they go on the run. She grabs a knife as well and she sticks it in her belt loop and then starts running like at full sprint with it. And I'm like, how are you not like stabbing your leg or your gut? Like, it's a big knife. It's very... and like she knows how to wield blades.
Yeah, she realizes that something's going wrong because she realizes the street is absolutely silent. And I feel like I don't often criticize the editing of this series of Torchwood. I feel like it's spot on for the most part.
Yeah, I never picked up on the street was silent because there's a lot of noise happening.
Yeah, the score keeps on going on as the street is complete. Like you hear a dog bark, the dog then goes completely silent. And then the score just keeps on going. I feel like the scene would be much improved if the score also cut out like it did, when we had the point of view of Gwen's shots as she's running away from the explosion. I feel like it's a bit of bad editing here. It just didn't need a score. That's like my only critique of like the editing process of this series, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it would elevate the scene for sure. And the music actively takes away from it because I didn't even pick up that's why she thought that she was in danger. I straight up was just like, cool, she's psychic. But they go on the run until they get cornered by the big. She's like the action lady that's going around murdering Captain Jack and whatever.
Johnson,
Yes. And she's like, hey, we don't want to kill you. We just brought all these guns and all these people to scare you, I guess. We could have done that. We could have handled this way better. It was a big mistake on our part when we could have probably just had like a police officer show up and be like, hey, we found Captain Jack. He's in danger. Could you come with us and then just kidnap you? But instead we made a whole big show out of it.
Watching this scene does remind me of the M. Night Shyamalan movie Trap.
Okay. Spoilers. I don't want to.
Sorry, spoilers. But
saying.
this scene makes way more sense than the movie Trap. I'm looking forward to you seeing Trap because you'll have questions that never get addressed in the movie, and you're just scratching your head, wondering, this doesn't make sense.
It's dream logic.
No, it's not. The movie Trap feels like it's a first draft, like a lot of Chibnall episodes.
Okay.
And M. Night Shyamalan just never went through for a second time. He was like, this is good enough, Maybe it was written before the writer's strike or something.
Actually, M. Night Shyamalan did say that this is the fastest he's ever written a script.
For fuck's sake, of course it is.
It took him 6 months to write the script. Usually, apparently, scripts take him about a year. So there,
like a good 10% of the movie is the concert, which is his daughter singing at the concert. His child is the performer at the concert, and that's most of the movie. Well, 10% of the movie, but that's a lot of the movie.
It's like an advert. And is she a good music?
I mean, she's okay. I'm not into this kind of music. It's more like modern, like Olivia Rodrigo. I don't know her name. These kind of artists.
I can tell that you're deep in this genre.
What's it? Charlie XTC, whatever her name is. As well. It's more like this modern female singer music. I don't know what the genre is, but it sounds
probably just pop. It's just pop. Yeah.
But pop has changed,
Pop always. That's what pop does. Pop needs.
But yeah, she's also a decent actress. Let's say that as well. So it's not like, you know, she's talented enough to be the Napo baby of the movie. So I'm not complaining about that.
But you know, Captain Jack. Back to the episode. Captain Jack's daughter is like, you know, just don't hurt my son and we'll come with you. She then goes to look at her son and turns out he's been pointing at the sky this whole time. It's a great fucking reveal.
Yes.
It's such a oh shit reveal because she's covering him so you don't see him until she turns to be like, okay, are you okay? And he's like, oh, over there.
Because I think it's been, I can't remember the last time the children actually spoke, but I think it was roughly about the halfway mark of the last episode the children last spoke. So you're kind of forgetting about the children doing this thing, and then it comes as a huge shock that it's happening again. And obviously this is a big moment. Children are pointing at the sky is the global headline, which is imagine taking that out of context, just looking at the words on the screen, children are pointing to the sky and saying that's a dramatic episode of science fiction television.
Like a breaking news notification from the BBC, you know, which are 90% garbage.
Yes.
But it turns out all the children are not just pointing at the sky, they're pointing at London, and they are pointing directly at the center of London. As that is where our alien friends are showing up. And they do so in a glorious fire elevator ball, whatever the fuck. It's just a giant beam of fire. Really, I like the reveal of the aliens because they're so dramatic. Like these are some really, really extra aliens, you know, like we found out that they're possessing the kids just for the fucking fun of it. You know, like they're making a big song and dance about they're really into the drama that they're causing on this planet.
And also they're doing the whole laser beam in the sky kind of thing before it became uncool. I think this is like I don't know the first movie that actually did this, but you can see it in every movie for like a solid 10 years or so.
I know Avengers, it was big in Avengers, in Spider-Man, it's big in Spider-Man, in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Suicide Squad.
And Suicide Squad's a late one as well. That's like 2016, 17. At that point, I was so fucking angry when that happened. I hate a sky laser. Hate them. Yeah. Absolutely hate them.
But this is like one of the first to do it and do it correctly. The new Superman movies, I guess, is doing it because of the promo art of Superman getting his shoes on.
That could be something like just anything, you know? Like, if the climax of the movie is a sky laser, then it'll be upset.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking WandaVision did that? That upset me so much.
WandaVision, fucking great show until that final. I fucking loved WandaVision until that final.
Yep, I absolutely agree with you 100%.
Like, the fact that WandaVision was experimental is the coolest part of that show. And then it ends with a boner joke.
Very good, very good. That entire final episode upset me quite a bit for multiple reasons. I watched all the X-Men movies.
You did, I remember.
Just for the boner joke, that was really upsetting. I remember in like episode 2 or something saying to my flat, because me and my flatmate watching, we're both really into it, and we were like, damn, like we love the different style that this is going for, and like the sitcom tropes and the, you know, going through the history of sitcoms, like that's so much fun. And I jokingly offhandedly went, yeah, imagine if it ends with like a sky laser. And then it fucking did. I was so upset. I was like, god damn it, how did I predict that? What the fuck? Just misery. Just absolute misery.
Are you looking forward to the new Agatha House of...
No.
Agatha All Along, that's the final title. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it either. I guess I'm looking forward to Audrey Plaza, but that's about it, to be honest.
I probably won't even watch it. Unless I hear really good things, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not committing myself to another Marvel show. Like,
and of course,
the Marvel shows are so mid. Like,
the last Marvel show I watched was Loki, and when I bailed out, like it was the episode. It was the last episode I watched was a big product placement for McDonald's.
Same. Same. I couldn't get past it. I finished that episode and had no desire to go into the next one.
It's just it's You're fucking Marvel. Why the fuck do you need to set an entire episode in McDonald's?
It's fine having an episode like set in a McDonald's, I guess, but it's the fact that like you have Matthew. Is it Matthew McConaughey or is it the other one?
Owen Wilson.
Oh yeah, Owen Wilson. They're very similar in my head.
That's
Owen.
fair.
Yeah, Owen Wilson being like, I love Big Macs. Big Macs are so good that you get from McDonald's. I love all of the ingredients inside a Big Mac. Watch me eat this Big Mac. Like, terrible. But
yeah, good time.
Yeah.
Who
but
watches
the aliens...
the MCU when?
Oh my god, never. Too long. The aliens show up into their big misty box, and we do not see what they look like.
Yep.
Besides from like a weird silhouette where they kind of look like flies, kind of like ants. I can't.
Yep.
There's like an insectoid vibe to them, which is further enhanced when they start fucking vomiting all up the place.
Oh god.
But
yeah. Just the fact for impossible to work out. You can't read any emotions or anything like that. You can't read what they look like. Makes them even more fucking terrifying. Like it's a really good use of a small budget. Just smoke and a silhouette. Simple stuff. Yeah. It's genius.
And it leads to a really good scene with Peter Capaldi talking to the aliens, and he's very scared and he's very cautious and he's very diplomatic and choosing his words very carefully as the aliens are speaking back to him as well, using like automated computerized voice to chat with him. And I do not trust Capaldi.
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't like. Obviously, they're setting up, like, you know, something shady happened with the kids in the past, and, you know, like, we find out later on that the aliens said they were never coming back, and now they've come back, they're untrustworthy, etc., etc. And Capaldi is, from my perspective anyway, at the minute, kind of working with the aliens, especially more in the next scene when he sets up that diplomatic meeting with everybody, and you know, him and the aliens are like tiptoeing around and like doing a little dance so that they don't actually spill any information, because they make an agreement in this scene not to talk about what's going on or what went on in the past. But also maybe Capaldi's doing a double bluff. Maybe he's the ultimate politician. Maybe he's making the aliens think they're on his side so he can save all the kids. He's a family man after all, but he cheats on his wife. So is he a family man?
It's hard because I don't want to say too much, because I'm very interested in how your point of view is going to skew. I'm very interested to see what your point of view will be next week. So I don't want to say too much about what I feel about Peter Capaldi in this scene, because obviously I know what's going to happen. I've seen this series 4 or 5 times by now, so I'm fairly familiar with this series.
You'll have to tune in next week. You'll have to tune in next week to see.
When I remember from watching this the first time, I remember just thinking, Peter Capaldi is just doing his job. You know, the Prime Minister says, the Prime Minister told him to not reveal that the aliens have been here before. He's just doing his job. You know, it's his duty to make sure that he does mention that, hey, you've been here before? Keep it a secret between you and me. Shush. So he's just doing his job, is what I thought at the time.
And the aliens, they vomit everywhere as well. Very gross.
Yes. The aliens are just so unpredictable. You don't know whether or not we're going to answer Peter Capaldi's questions, or whether we're going to
sometimes
vomit,
they answer
or
it backwards.
Yeah,
you know? Like...
which is, it really keeps you on their toes. We're just fucking around, basically. It's just unpredictable. It's really fun for a villain, you know. Just again, it's not just a villain that goes around eating people or whatever. It's just, hey, I would like 10% of your children, please.
And it is a very good, like, Capaldi in this scene is superb. He's superb in every scene he's in so far, but he's absolutely excellent in this. And it ends with him like leaving and like crouching against the wall, being like, fucking hell, you know. Awesome.
This scene specifically is 5 minutes of Peter Capaldi talking to green screen. Like the only other actor in the room with him doesn't have a single line of dialogue. He's just standing in the background. So it's just Peter Capaldi having a conversation with some green screen, and it's fucking captivating.
Doing a good job. That guy should play like the Doctor, I think. I think he'd make a really good version of the Doctor. He's a pretty good actor.
Nah, he's too old.
True. He is pretty old.
But yeah, oh god, we can't talk enough about Peter Capaldi. You know, he's the MVP of this episode specifically. I think he has the most to do in this episode out of anyone else.
Yeah. I mean, he's the character I'm most intrigued by in this storyline. Out of all of them, I find him to be the most compelling. And the most like, I'm curious as to where this is going. That I have with some of the others, but I'm like more invested in them because I already know them, like Yanto and Captain Jack and stuff. Whereas this is I've never seen Capaldi in Torchwood before. This is my introduction to him. And bloody excellent.
Yeah, I remember when he was announced as the Doctor, and I'm like, who the fuck is Peter Capaldi? And when I found out, he was in Torchwood. Oh fuck, he's gonna be a great Doctor. Like, his acting is incredible. Like, that's all I knew him from was from Torchwood and Doctor Who. So
I knew him from the thick of it, and that was it.
As a show I still need to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I don't know how relevant it kind of is anymore. But,
yeah, I feel like it's going to be less. It's going to be less shocking than real life.
We next get a really good scene with some very distracting pupils as we go to a meeting with the Prime Minister and the US Army and unit and everything, and they're all shouting at the Prime Minister and being, hey, you didn't involve all of us, you kept all of this a secret, you're a fucking dickhead, how could we ever trust you again, you know, you're kind of ruining this relationship. And the Prime Minister is like, awesome, what if I just don't do anything?
Yep.
I've got this great strategy that's been working really, really well for me so far, which is I'm just gonna step back and let you guys deal with it. I don't want to be involved. Don't let me know. And everyone's on board with it. Everyone's like, hell yeah, okay, that sounds great. It's the acting, the performances.
Oh god, yes.
Superb.
But this is what I mean when I say that, like, every part gets a moment in the spotlight. Like, god, just every actor at this table is like, it's so good. You're just captivated. It's
really are. And I was especially captivated by the United States military man who, for whatever reason, is apparently on some very strong substances, was
I'm gonna
in a
be
very
honest with
dark
you,
bit of the room.
I struggle to see his eyes correctly. It is.
What's wrong with you? How can you make it full screen? Look at those fucking saucers.
Maybe I don't know. It's hard to read. He just has dark eyes in general, I guess. Maybe.
No, he's got blue eyes, motherfucker. I've sent you a photograph just of his eyeballs. Look at that shit. Did you see that rim of blue around his eye?
Okay,
that is
maybe fair.
Like that's his iris. His pupils are so big, and everybody else's is really small because there's lights all around them, and there's a big camera light in their face. This guy just absorbs that light. He nourishes on it. He consumes it. But that's not to say he isn't giving a great performance, because
God.
he is. And his voice,
His
spectacular.
voice,
What a deep
holy
voice.
shit.
Yeah.
His voice is like butter. It's incredible. I want him to read me a bedtime story. Yes, please.
I'm sure he's probably some kind of voice actor, or if
Yeah.
he's been in a video game or something. He must have. He's just too good. He's just too good otherwise. Yeah. That's
But yeah, if you enjoy this scene of them sitting at 10 Downing Street in this table, oh, you're gonna get so much more next episode. You're gonna fucking love all the scenes at 10 Downing Street next episode. Oh.
So you say. But we'll see. We'll see.
Bro,
we'll see.
so much good politics stuff in this show.
But did the Prime Minister get killed by a Dalek randomly? Does that happen?
Oh yeah, some live television which nobody fucking ever talks about again. Nobody knows what a Dalek is, even though
To be fair,
if Liz
be fair
Truss
to
got
Chibnall,
murdered by Dalek on live television, who would care?
we cycle through prime ministers so quick. If one of them got shot by a Dalek in between that, like, how would we even notice? Maybe it happened.
Oh god! I keep mentioning Liz Truss, and I keep thinking about what happened last night. She was doing interview kind of thing, and what was the part led by donkeys? They did a petition where they put a lettuce, a picture of a lettuce on a board, and they pulled it down. And it said, ruined the economy. And Liz Truss was like, oh, that's not funny. And then she stormed out and she made a tweet about them ruining free speech, even though they didn't stop her from speaking. It was...
If anything,
actually,
they were expressing their free speech.
Yeah, just a harmless prank. Like, we didn't try to assassinate her or anything. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Which, like, she killed the economy. An eye for an eye. It's only fair if we... I'm not going to finish that sentence. Maybe I'll get MI5 at the door.
But yeah, I feel like a better response would be to continue the conversation, maybe address the picture and be like, any other politician would spew some bullshit, like make it half convincing at least to gain followers or whatever, like. But she instead just stormed off, and she's such a coward, Liz Truss.
If Liz Truss had any brains on her, she would be smart enough to realize, like, you've got to lean into, you're like, hell yeah, I crashed the economy. You know what I was doing? I was shaking up the establishment. I was tearing down the old way. We can only move forward as a country if we get rid of the past. Forget the economy. We don't need it. We're still, if the economy's ruined, does that mean you're not here? You're with me still. We're still like... She could have been a pioneer of the new world.
But yeah, this scene of Torchwood is basically like the US Army being like, hey, we want some control in what's going on here, because it's unfair that the UK is getting off control.
Which is a big US thing. They're we're the main characters. What are you doing? Like,
it is interesting to see an alien invasion taken this way. Like, you're used to movies like Independence Day, where the US president does have involvement in what's going on. It is slightly political, but just a UK slant to things. What happens if an alien came to the UK instead?
It goes to the bureaucrats. We'll let the bureaucrats deal with it.
But yeah, the Prime Minister is basically like, okay, we're not dealing with this. I've got my expert team, John Frobisher. He's a good man, but better than that, he's expendable. Which is basically the scene where he had a face-to-face conversation with Peter Capaldi last episode and had the same thing to say, basically. But it's still, yikes. Heartbreaking.
It is indeed. So Captain Jack sneaks in to...
before that, actually, you haven't covered the Peter Capaldi scene where he gets a phone call.
Well, getting the job.
Yeah, which
mean-
which is, I mean, it's obvious, but also it's delivered in such a blunt way, but you can't help but feel bad for the man.
I don't know. I as much as like this is two scenes. Like we got this scene in the last episode as well, with Capaldi and the Prime Minister, where the Prime Minister's like, you do it, and Capaldi's like, oh fuck. You know, and this is another scene where the Prime Minister's like, you do it. And
That's actually another point. I feel like, we spoke about the last episode. That scene looked like it was a last-minute replacement. It was written very last minute. I feel like they didn't adjust episode 3 because there's this scene where Peter Capaldi realizes, he's now the official spokesman, which feels like that was kind of his position in the last episode.
Yeah.
And later on, there's a scene in the elevator where Bridget is like, the Prime Minister is probably using you. And Peter Capaldi is like, oh, really? You think that? And it's like, yeah, he is aware.
He said it to your face. He said it straight up, looked you in the eye, and was like, "I'm using you."
So they definitely did not adjust this episode to reflect the new scene. So, and also in this episode as well, obviously with Prime Minister, we just spoke about, the Prime Minister also reuses the same line, he's expendable, to the unit man. So
yes.
They definitely didn't adjust it, which is interesting.
Yeah, which is why it felt like we're getting a lot of repeated information.
Yeah.
For a lot of those scenes, but it is what it is. But it's still handled well in Capaldi's performance again. Superb. He acts very well getting delivered bad news. He's like, ooh.
What? Wait, are you implying that Peter Capaldi is a good actor? Because I don't know.
I wouldn't pay him. I wouldn't pay him. But Captain Jack sneaks into his wife's house and steals her phone and calls up Capaldi. But we'll hear about their conversation in a second, because we quickly cut off to Gwen and Clem in the car as Clem is like, it does. Clem is like, I smell the man. I smell the man that took me, which is some subtle foreshadowing for a big reveal at the end of this episode.
Because of course they are getting closer to Captain Jack, so it makes sense why he's smelling Captain Jack in this scene.
Yeah. But we get the scene with Captain Jack and Capaldi, which is probably my favorite scene in this episode. I think it is superb. Where it's both of them trying to outmaneuver each other. Captain Jack's like, hey, you tried to have me killed, but maybe you bring me in, I can help, and I've got this leverage up, I could go in and hurt your wife or whatever. And Capaldi's like, well, I actually have your wife and I'm also evil, so
there is a flip that switches in Peter Capaldi's facial expressions, because as you watch him for a moment, he looks like he's considering letting Captain Jack into the room, and then there's a switch that goes on with his facial expressions where he's suddenly like, hey, wait a minute, we kidnapped your daughter and your grandson. I've got leverage over you, my dude.
And he's such a great actor, but this character of no, I want to say Gorbachev, but that was the guy that was in charge of Russia.
Frobisher.
Frobisher. As a character, he's so grimy. You can tell that he has been in and around politics his entire career. He's a permanent secretary, which means regardless of who is in power, he works. He's always there. He's always in government. He's always pushing papers and interacting with people and maneuvering to try and get things done. And he's just grime. He is grime the man. And even Capaldi's body language and his suit that he's wearing that's slightly too baggy over his hunched shoulders, as he's he looks meek and weak, but all the power is in his strategizing and his political maneuvering, and it is superb.
You can tell there was once ambition within him. You know, as we said last episode, he probably wanted to be prime minister and be a good prime minister, but he got stuck with his job, and he's the expendable man. Of course, you know, it's he has to do whatever he has to do to keep his job, and it's a nightmare situation. You know, being in the room with a fucking alien who vomits every 2 minutes. Fucking nightmare. Although it's interesting because when we cut back to the alien later on, the glass is completely clean again. So
they eat it up again. They're like flies. You know, like a fly will like vomit on something and then eat it or whatever. Yeah, it's a really cool scene. We then get a scene with some, I would say, unnecessary homophobia. I don't know why it happens. I don't know if it plays into anything. It caught me off guard completely. I was like, what the fuck? Where Clem is like, oh, look, there's Yanto, queer. I was like, gee, what the fuck? Nobody says it. Like, Yanto's like, whoa, what the fuck? And everyone's just looking around like, oh my god, you've been dramatic.
I understand why they don't obviously challenge him. He is a mentally unstable man. He's gone through a lot of trauma in his life. It's hard to get somebody to adjust their prejudices in the first place. Never mind, you know, a person who's struggling.
In real life, I understand, but I don't.
I don't know why it's
you're making me lose sympathy for Clem. Where like I'm supposed to care about Clem and feel bad for him, etc., but now you've made me be like, oh,
that's fair.
Clem, what the fuck, fair. Clem? You know.
One thing that you do get sympathy for in this scene is the part where he's like, oh, it's a nice house, isn't it? He's very happy to be in this place because he's been in worse places in his life, and you feel sorry for the guy because, you know, he feels safe here. He feels like everybody in the room is protecting him. He feels valued, you know. It's really tragic because obviously he's gone through his entire life going from the orphanage to almost getting kidnapped by fucking aliens, and then he's homeless as a child, and he goes from care home to care home his entire life feeling unloved, and here he's in a room full of people trying to protect him, which is really sweet.
Yeah. And queer Yanto, he's there as well. But you know, it's a nice little scene. We get some stuff with Capaldi again, where they're like humming and hawing about going off to the meeting, and they're all very nervous. But eventually, it leads to that elevator scene that we talked about, and Lois going to stick the contact lenses in. She takes a deep breath. She excuses herself to the bathroom. Contact lens time. It's time to Mission Impossible this shit. Yeah. And I really enjoy this entire sequence with the Lois literally being our eyes to this room.
And this is a good jumping off point to talk about how difficult it is to actually write this scene, because Russell T Davies apparently had a nightmare. But first I want to say, Bridget, there's a few shots where Bridget is noticing Lois is acting strange, which is important for the next episode for reasons I'm not going to bring up here, but it's important that we as an audience notice Lois. It's important for us to notice Bridget noticing Lois acting strange in this scene. So this technology, the eye contact things, isn't new technology for Torchwood. In series 2, episode 6, Martha wore very similar contact lenses, except in that scene, in the episode, the lenses were able to record sound. And Russell T Davies removed the sound portion of it because he thought it was too magical for, you know, the contact lenses recording stuff visually makes sense in to some degree, but how the hell does a microphone fit in there? You know, that kind of thing. I feel like he could have just written, oh yeah, we also have these earpieces. You know, it sticks into your ear like an earworm or something.
Too many things.
But of course, he wound up finding it hard to write. And this is me quoting him here. Arg! It's doing my head in. It's so tricky to write. Literally, I have to write what's happening, and then Lois's version of that, then Torchwood's end of that, then all the written words, then the texts, then the computer voices. Arg! Ha! So he's having a mental breakdown writing this scene here. I feel like he made it kind of too difficult for himself. He could have just kept in the voice aspect. It feels,
Yeah, you could have kept it in, but I think it led to a more tense scene.
Yeah.
Because, now you have Lois having to sneak her way around the room. Now you have, all of the characters reacting to the information separately. So, everyone, Torchwood's getting the information on a delay because they have to wait for the translation or the voice or whatever, which means us as an audience are also, we're going oh, shit, and then we're getting to go oh, shit, when we see their reaction.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it added to the tension, but I can totally, you could do away with it. I'm sure it's still a very tense scene.
Especially, writing all that extra information when this episode is already late, This is one of the last episodes to be written. He's struggling to meet the deadlines.
Yeah.
I feel like he could have made it easier on himself. But yeah, it is that Mission Impossible thing, especially Mission Impossible 4. The thing about Mission Impossible 4 is the technology in Mission Impossible 4 fucking does not work. And that adds so many layers to the tension. Whereas that scene where Tom Cruise is climbing the building with his very anti-gravity gloves, like in Doctor Who. He's trying to Spider-Man up his way with this building, but the gloves, they don't work properly. So he starts sliding down the building. He has to try to adjust to his broken technology. It adds to the tension. And I feel like, it does add to the tension. I feel like they could have gone a bit further. He also says, this is, again, Russell T. Davies speaking here, great scene, great ideas, really classy thriller stuff, all being jammed together at 2:30 in the morning in a rush with no time to explore the potential. Such a shame. I feel like he's probably been a bit too hard on himself here.
Yeah. You know what's interesting?
Yes?
Is I reckon Russell T. Davies is a better writer when he's stressed out.
Yes.
Because looking...
Because, we spoke about it. He wrote Turn Left and Midnight within the space of 2 weeks as very last minute deadlines. 2 of some of the best Doctor Who episodes of all time in 2 weeks. Incredible,
And now he's writing season 3 for a show where season 2 he's so far ahead of schedule. He's learned how to meet deadlines. He's on top of all of his work, but the quality's dipped because he's comfortable. He's happy with himself. He's content. He's no longer stressed out and overworked, and it's ruining his art.
Again, we could go into a whole hour-long conversation about what's happened to Russell T. Davies. He's definitely not the same, at least with the last season of Doctor Who. He's not the same writer as we had in 2009. Apparently, It's a Sin and Years are amazing television. I still need to watch those. That's really good. Russell T. Davies. Those are quite recent shows. So he doesn't seem to have lost the ability to write good science fiction or good television. It's just the last season of Doctor Who, not the best. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. We get a really nice bit of tension in this scene here when the Americans want to find out why the aliens chose to come to Britain and demand that the question be asked. So Capaldi asks because he can't act like something's up. And, then we're on the edge of our seat wondering, are the aliens going to stick with the plan? of don't mention what happened in the 60s. You know, let's not talk about the kids. And the aliens do. They're like, oh, we just chose here because fuck you. How about that? How about that? How about you don't get a no? And it's really fun. And Yanto clicks onto it and explains to us in some ADR, in case we didn't quite catch it, that Frobisher and the aliens are working together to hide what happened. But it's awesome. It's awesome.
yeah.
It's so fucking spooky.
Yeah, again, a really fucking great scene of just Peter Capaldi essentially acting by himself. There's a whole room of people behind him, but they're not really doing anything.
They're not talking, yeah.
Obviously, there is acting going on behind him. Like, there's a lady who runs out of the room when the alien starts vomiting because she is so frightened. She just runs out of the room, which I don't blame her. You know, that is fucking terrifying. The alien starts mimicking Peter Capaldi with his high-pitched voice, which is... Again, just this alien fucking loves to fuck around with people. Like, terrifying. You just can't predict what's going to happen in this scene, which adds so many layers of tension.
It is. It's very good. And the tension continues when Clem starts freaking out back at Torchwood HQ, being like, yo, what the fuck? I can smell the guy from before. Like, he's getting closer. The guy from before, and we're getting flashes. Suddenly Captain Jack's on our screen as we see Captain Jack walking up, like, through the fire in the nearby pit. And, eventually the big reveal comes. Clem's super scared. And there's no, like Captain Jack isn't like, what are you being weird for? What this guy's freaking out. Whoa, he's just like, yeah, no, I totally gave the kids away last time. I was 100% involved. I loved it. If I'm being real, I love doing it. And it's awesome. It's such a good reveal. It's fucking like, oh shit. It was a big oh shit moment to end the episode on. What a cliffhanger.
And much like the characters inside of a scene, you don't quite believe it at first. You're kind of questioning what's going on. Wait, Captain Jack was there. Oh my god, what? No, that's not true.
Yeah.
That can't be true. Captain Jack's a good guy. He wouldn't willingly give 12 kids to these aliens. What the hell is going on? Like...
Yeah.
And that's a fucking genius part about having a character who's immortal and who has lived 200 years off screen since he was in Doctor Who, you know what I mean? Like, you can just keep going back to his background and exploring some morally ambiguous things he's done in the past, and he can keep the mystery alive with his character. I think Captain Jack is, in all 4 seasons of all 4 seasons of Torchwood, he's like more mysterious than the Doctor is in most of Doctor Who recently.
I really like the Captain Jack stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I think he's a fascinating character, and I loved him in the series. Like when I was a kid, he was one of my favorite characters, and I always got excited whenever he showed up or whenever we learned out more about him. It was. There's a lot you can do with Captain Jack. There's a lot, like, you know, remember when he like showed up again for that?
Yeah, I remember when he showed up and he was really horny and he kissed Graham and
Hell yeah, who wouldn't?
And he was in that Dalek special, which, you know, I watched the entirety of Torchwood for that Dalek New Year's Day special because, you know, I was excited for Captain Jack to come back, and I watched everything he was in.
And now it's just a cameo, it's just a stupid cameo.
I mean, it wasn't a cameo; he was in the entire episode. He kind of stood around in the background.
Because it's he has no purpose to be. It's pure fan service. You know, like you're not learning anything new about Captain Jack. He isn't intrinsical to the plot. There isn't a huge revelation about him. It's just Captain Jack. You remember Captain Jack? He's in Doctor Who. But, you know, and just
to be fair, he didn't have a whole lot to do in the 3 episodes of series 3 or the 2 episodes of series 4 he was in, but he still served an active part of the plot. He had a presence, for sure. You know, the series 4 episode was a Torchwood crossover, so you got to spend time with Yanto and Gwen, which was perfect. But yeah, and Chibnall as well. I was really excited for Chibnall to write for Captain Jack again.
It's like that's your Torchwood guy.
Yeah, and then God knows what the fuck that was. I can't wait to do that episode someday, folks. Gonna be a disaster, but
maybe it's aged great. Maybe it's aged amazingly. Maybe it's brilliant.
But again, I'll speak about it more next episode because I don't want to give too much away in this discussion. But I have a lot to say about what they do with Captain Jack, so I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, just the fact that he's a mysterious character. You don't believe the fact that he did this really bad thing. Why did he do this really bad thing? We'll find out next week. I'm looking forward to it.
We will. I'm looking forward to it as well. And that brings us towards the end of day 3, an episode that I thought was really good, escalated the stakes really well. I think I'm less hot on the lighthearted stuff at the start of the episode, but it doesn't last long and it doesn't overstay its welcome. I understand its purpose. Give me more Capaldi scenes. I want all of those. But I'm very much I am on board with where the story is going, and I'm intrigued to see what happens with day 4.
Yes, of course. Fucking great television, one of the best of Doctor Who, and it's still true, even though I am noticing some more flaws in the series. But small flaws like, oh, this is kind of repeating the same information, or this doesn't add up logically. It's definitely the music choice of the street going silent. I mean, the music is just still going away at the same volume. It's a weird choice, but it's still really top quality television, and I miss being excited about Doctor Who like this.
Well, just wait for the war between the land and the sea. I'm sure that will be
fingers crossed. It's another 5-part series.
When have the Sea Devils ever let us down?
I'm looking forward to going through some more Sea Devil stuff next year to prepare for that.
No, we've made that mistake before. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you very much for listening. You can follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube, where you can watch this in video form. Every single Friday at 8 a.m. UK time, we upload new episodes. It's also available in audio form if that is how you like to consume your podcast. We are on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. There's an RSS feed where you can plug us in to your podcast app of choice. Search us up, just search Who Watches Who. We should be like the first result that comes up, and every download and interaction is very much appreciated. You can follow us on Twitter at Watches Doctor, at Facebook at Who Watches Who. You can follow me on Twitter at Cloth223. You can purchase my book, Can You Taste the Color Orange, if you want some more sci-fi in your life. And I think that's all the things I have to plug. And we will see you next time.
Before we go, you'll be happy to know I've been unboxed, because obviously I just recently moved. And I've just started unboxing, and the first thing I put up on my shelf is your book.
Hey, excellent. But until then, we will see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. We're looking at Torchwood 4 next week, by the way. I don't know if I said that. Anyway, bye.